Marriage counselors, what are the most common mistakes couples make? Expecting one person to be everything for them. You need friends, co-workers, a support system, and hobbies. Keeping secrets or lies. Failure to communicate effectively. This can be taught. I went to 5 sessions with my wife during a tough period. The best things we learned from that is 1. Never lash the other with past misbehaviors when trying to resolve a current issue. We have been married 17 years, so there is limitless crap we can pull out of our history together to highlight past wrongs, and that just derails what could be a quick resolution. 2. When one half says I am not happy about X, do not respond with okay but I am unhappy with Y. Fix X. Get settled. Then bring up Y if you still need to. 1. Keeping score. A partnership is a team, not a competition. Whether a person keeps score of everything they have done, or everything their partner has done, it is a death knell for the relationship. This is one of the most common causes of resentment in a relationship. And you see it often when people use absolute terms to describe themselves or their partners. I always. She never. Remembering that each person has his/her own needs, abilities, skills, and boundaries is essential to a healthy couple. 2. Expecting that because your significant other knows you better than others and is around you most, that they are aware of all of your thoughts and feelings. Your partner is not psychic. And no matter how often they are around you or how well they know you, they cannot pick up on every nuance to determine how you are feeling and how they should respond. That is called emotional babysitting. And it cascades into a host of problems and unnecessary hurt. Not listening. Most people listen to respond and don't listen to hear. This is what I spend the most time teaching couples how to do. Divorce lawyer here. Talk about money. Talk about sex. If you're marrying someone with a high credit score, you should know how and why they ended up with it, lest you find yourself in their shoes very quickly. A credit score can cost thousands and take years to rebuild. Know if they have any tax liens or liability. Are they paying child support, and do they have any kind of garnishment? Who is going to be responsible for managing the finances? How many credit cards does the other person have, and what are their balances? I've seen money kill a lot of marriages. Another one a lot of people don't think of is actually talking about sex. Not just having it. Do you enjoy the sex you have? Would you like to have more of it? Less? Would you like to see it change? Do you or the other person have any weird kinks? Just have the talk. Different sexual wavelengths can be difficult to reconcile. Therapist here. Have served couples. Number 1 problem I see is overactive threat response, creating anger and rigidity. People don't stop to turn down their defense mode and lose sight of love because all their energy is going towards being right or controlling the outcome. Of course, that control comes from a place of fear. But fear and vulnerability feels too dangerous. So it typically gets expressed as anger, frustration, or rigidity. Surrender to not having control. Accept what's in front of you. And cultivate compassion. Please. Because you're rigid couples who just can't prioritize empathizing with each other over your fear response are driving me nuts. Close bracket. Edit. Just adding a smiley face. And that this is the most common case I see. Not the only. There are lots of folks who won't fit this pattern. As soon as couple stops being on the same team, fighting all the bull of life together, things fall apart. Get on the same team. Get behind each other's goals. If you're not on the same team, you're just going to wind up annoying the out of each other. All that bull of life is going to be beating you down, and your life partner is just going to be part of it instead of a refuge. When your significant other brings something to your attention that they want, don't react harshly if it's something they've refused to bring up sooner. Getting loud or defensive "why didn't you bring this up sooner?" will make them shy away from bringing things up again due to negative reinforcement backlash. This is especially true if they've been victims of any kind of abusive relationships. Source: literally killed my marriage because I was an idiot and didn't respond in an open, non-positive way. People don't learn to fight. You have to fight fair in a relationship. People go nuts when they get mad, and some couples never learn to fight in a way that honors the person you are fighting with. It is so important to learn to respect space. Don't assume motives. And take turns in explaining your views. It's a big deal and I work on it quite a bit in counseling. Getting married because they wanted a wedding. Not because they wanted to be married. Not a marriage counselor, but going to a marriage counselor believing that it's like a judge and he will tell them who's right and who's wrong. Current marriage. Couple and family masters counseling student here. Unspoken family rules that you bring into relationship are huge. Obviously you didn't grow up together, and depending on how you did grow up, you may have had completely different family of origin, experiences. It can be as simple as your foo separated out laundry by color and your so's just threw everything in together, so you have different family rules regarding laundry. To your foo had the rule of family problems stay in the family, and your so's family talk to people outside the family about all the problems freely. Everybody has these rules. Talking about them and uncovering them, without judgment, will go a very long way in maintaining and deepening connection. If you don't talk about them, it is easy to get into negative interactional patterns that are just rehearsals of how your foo did things and not creating healthy, mutually safe patterns. Also, I recommend that everyone in relationship take an attachment style quiz and compare their attachment style, secure, anxious, or avoidant, because that reveals a lot of unspoken rules as well. I'm not a marriage counselor, but my wife posted a very meaningful and controversial article the other day and tagged me in it because I agree with its philosophy. It was titled "Your kids should not be the most important part of your marriage." Of course, many parents were offended and complained bitterly about the article. But we don't make our kids the center of our marriage. We devote a lot of time to them and keep them healthy and educated. Of course. But we spend just as much time on each other. If mom and dad are happy, the kids are likely to be happy. On many occasions, my wife will rush to get a few things done for the kids in the morning and ask me playfully, "Hey, you wanna do me in the bedroom real quick?" And I will fix dinner and get the kids to bed so her and I can have some fun and cuddle while we talk about our day. Kids don't define your marriage. You and your spouse absolutely do. Not a counselor. Bit of advice I received a long time ago. From a nurse. I was working a unit as a CNA. And the old, intimidating, and smiling veteran nurse, my favorite, on the unit walks onto the unit from lunch holding hands with her husband, a Terry Pratchett look-alike. My young 20-ish self commented that you don't see that every day. She retrieves her battered clipboard from the desk, leans into me, and says, "You want to know the secret, kid?" I say yes. Because who doesn't want to know the secret? And there's this collective lean in from the entire desk. Docs, nurses, support. Pens stop moving. People don't know how to grow and change together. You will change as you age. So will your partner. The question is, do you know how to grow and change together? Then she walks off. The answer a call light. Wisdom to hold on to. The girl you married doesn't exist anymore. She's grown up, hopefully, and changed. Biggest mistake is waiting too long to get help. Repeat issues coming up again and again will not resolve themselves. Get help before it's helpless. As I'm recently divorced marriage therapist, I cannot stress enough how important acknowledging repair attempts and keeping intimacy alive are as life-sustaining nutrients for your marriage. BTW. My ex is a therapist who changed religions and no longer thought sex was important. Zul incompatibility. Misunderstanding sex as a bonding activity. When one or the other believes sex is something one does to another as if it was just a utility. Treating their pets better than their partners. Wife doing her master's in psychology and has a certificate in marriage counseling. The main mistake being the use of the word you, your or any similar words targeting the other partner in an argument. For example, you said you would do the dishes. Close bracket. This puts the person receiving the comment into a defensive mode and they stop listening and get defensive. Thus, communication breaks down. I've been married for 10 years and my partner is an MFT. All of the suggestions in this thread are wonderful and accurate. The one thing that I want to add on to them is probably the biggest lesson that my partner and I have discovered over time. People change. You will change. They will change. It is nigh impossible to have the same relationship 2 years in that you did at the start. Don't try to hold on to it. The only way my partner and I have stayed together for as long as we have is because we were able to adapt to each other. That being said, don't try to force a relationship that's inherently dysfunctional. It's not a mark of failure for a relationship to end. Change seems scary, but the truth is you've already changed. Children. This needs more visibility. For the love of everything that is good and pure. Don't bring a child into a broken marriage expecting him to be the lifesaver. It has never worked and it will never. A child is supposed to be the consolidation of the mutual love of the couple. He arrives because the marriage is in a good place. Not the other way around. I work with kids and trust me. Most kids are fully aware when mom and dad are in a bad state and here's the only reason they aren't splitting. And also I have seen the typical dumb parent who believed once the child arrived her partner would have a change of heart and would be a better person. Of course it didn't happen. And of course the child was caught in the middle of that crossfire. Not a marriage counselor but attorney who deals with some divorces. Technically I am a counselor at law of sorts. The most common mistake I see is people getting married without any understanding of the legal repercussions. Honestly, I think forcing couples to take an 8-hour family law class before getting married would cut down on the amount of people who get married. It's actually a pretty scary concept and it should be normal to not trust someone with as much power as you give them when you get married. Basically once a week, I get a phone call like, my husband is spending all my money. I need a divorce and my money back. That money is gone and it is almost certain there is nothing you can do about it. It's like people literally have no idea about the concept of marital estate. Not exactly a marriage counselor but speaking from experience. 1. Allowing family's friends to get too involved in the relationship. Remember the saying too many cooks spoil the broth? Yeah, exactly this. 2. Assuming you know exactly what your partner wants at any given point in time. People will not always be in the frame of mind we expect them to be. Sometimes it's best to give them their own space. Asterisk. 3. Not discussing finances deep enough or avoiding it altogether. 4. Discussing really important decisions, making these decisions via text messages. 5. Not opening up to each other for fear of having a conflict. This tends to mount up tensions deep down inside and will normally come up when an argument occurs, thereby adding more fuel to the fire. 6. Adopting a tit-for-tat policy. One should aim to put their 100% commitment into a relationship for the sake of the relationship itself and not because they expect return sooner or later. They confuse love with the chemical high you get early in our relationship. That cannot last. For reasons built into our biology. A successful relationship is built on that feeling. It's built on mutual respect and a mutual decision to make it work each day. Till marriage counselors don't exist. In my experience, the most common problem married couples experience is going to see a marriage counselor instead of a licensed psychologist. The latter has significantly more experience and training to help couples. A marriage counselor has very limited training and can very easily do more harm than good. Source. Met with several marriage counselors. Were terrible. Had a psychologist specializing in couples. And he saved our marriage. Pastor here. There is a book on New Testament ethics called Dirt, Greed and Sex, which coincidentally are the big 3 issues in marital conflict. By dirt I mean household duties, including children. Greed is money management. And sex is, well, sex. Each topic requires communication and cooperation. Another note. The purpose of counseling is to alter the way you view your situation. This is true for individuals and for couples. Answers and solutions follow a change in perspective. Probably not communicating or money issues. Marriage. Can't up a marriage if you don't get married. Using blaming language and projecting fears and mistrust. Husbands accidentally tripping and finding their ones in another woman. Or alternatively wives offering a tight, warm space to a new friend's cold penis. Having a child thinking it would save their marriage. The best advice I've seen online. The person you divorce is the person you married. Aka expecting people to change who they are. Putting the milk back in the refrigerator upside down. So how about a response from an LMFT now that we got all of the not marriage counselors out of the way? Not a counselor but not talking about considering long-term goals. For example, if one wants kids but one doesn't and deciding to move and get married without having some kind of understanding in place. Absolutely. I kind of hate this thing in pop culture where love conquers all. At least on the big things in life. Opposites most definitely do not attract.